Have you ever felt the weight of a mistake pulling you down, that mistake you can't shake, replaying in your mind, keeping you up at night? You're not alone. Every one of us has made mistakes that we regret. But how do you forgive yourself when it feels impossible? In today's story, we'll dive into the wisdom of the Shaolin monks and Buddha's teachings to help you not only understand why you must forgive yourself, but how to do it step by step. Because only by releasing the past can we step into the future. Once, in the heart of China, at the base of a sacred mountain, lived a young Shaolin monk named Tao. He had been training at the Shaolin temple since childhood, learning the art of discipline, meditation, and martial arts. Tao had always been diligent, striving to live up to the ideals of the temple and the teachings of Buddha. He was known for his dedication and skill, admired by the other monks for his unwavering focus. But like all of us, Tao was not perfect. One day, during a demonstration of his martial arts abilities, he made a critical mistake. While sparring with another monk, Tao lost his temper for just a moment. He swung too hard, and his sparring partner, Brother Wei, was seriously injured. The temple's sacred code had been broken. Anger and violence had no place within the walls of Shaolin. The monks treated Brother Wei's wounds, but Tao's heart was in far worse shape. His guilt consumed him. Every night as he sat in meditation, the image of his mistake replayed in his mind. He could hear the crack of the staff, feel the weight of his rage, and see the pain on Brother Wei's face. He felt he had failed, not just as a monk, but as a human being. The shame was unbearable. Tao's story is our story. Each of us has made mistakes. Sometimes they're small, a harsh word spoken in frustration or a task left undone. Other times they're larger, leaving a lasting impact on others and ourselves. And it's these bigger mistakes that tend to linger in our minds. The mind has a way of holding on to guilt, replaying our errors over and over, as if the punishment of reliving it will somehow make up for what we've done. But in reality, this cycle of guilt traps us, preventing us from moving forward. It keeps us in the past, far from the peace and forgiveness we seek. Buddha understood this struggle well. One of his core teachings is that suffering comes from attachment. We attach to our desires, our ego, and our mistakes. And through this attachment, we create our own suffering. But how do we break free? How do we forgive ourselves when the guilt feels so heavy? In Buddhist philosophy, forgiveness is not an act of erasing the past or pretending a mistake didn't happen. Rather, it is an act of understanding. It's about recognizing that we, like everyone else, are human and fallible. To forgive yourself, you must first understand the nature of mistakes. Buddha teaches us that life is a process of learning. Mistakes are inevitable on the path of growth. To hold yourself to an impossible standard of perfection is to misunderstand the nature of existence. Instead, we must recognize that mistakes are opportunities for wisdom and transformation. For Tao, the journey to self-forgiveness began when he sought counsel from the temple's oldest monk, Master Liang, who was known for his deep wisdom. Tao approached him, weighed down by his guilt. "Master," Tao said, bowing deeply, "I have failed. I cannot forgive myself for the harm that I've caused." Master Liang looked at Tao kindly and asked, "What makes you believe you are beyond forgiveness?" Tao hesitated. "I have hurt my brother, and in doing so, I have betrayed the teachings of our temple. How can I be forgiven when I have acted so out of alignment with what I know to be right?" Master Liang smiled gently. "Tao, do you believe that any of us, even I, have lived without mistakes? The journey to enlightenment is not about avoiding failure, it is about learning from it. Your inability to forgive yourself stems from the belief that you should have been perfect. But perfection is not the goal, growth is." Master Liang's words echoed Buddha's teachings. The root of suffering is in attachment. In this case, Tao was attached to an unrealistic standard of perfection. He believed that as a monk he should never feel anger or make a mistake. But by holding himself to this impossible ideal, he was creating his own suffering. The guilt Tao carried was not a reflection of his true nature, but rather a signal that he was still learning. Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." This teaching emphasizes that to truly live a life of compassion, we must first show compassion to ourselves. Self-forgiveness is not a gift to the ego, it is an act of love that frees the heart from suffering. Master Liang then guided Tao through the process of self-forgiveness, using the wisdom of the Shaolin and the teachings of Buddha. Acknowledge the mistake without judgment. The first step is to acknowledge the mistake, but not with judgment. Instead of saying, I'm a bad person because I made this mistake, say, I made a mistake, but it does not define me. By doing this, you separate your identity from your actions. Buddha teaches that we are constantly evolving, and our past actions are not who we are, but lessons on our path. Reflect on the cause. Master Liang asked Tao to meditate on what had led him to lose his temper. In doing so, Tao realized that his anger had come from fear of not being good enough, of failing in his duties. When we reflect deeply, we often find that our mistakes are rooted in deeper emotions like fear or insecurity. By understanding these emotions, we can address the root cause and prevent future mistakes. Learn from the mistake. Buddha teaches that every experience, no matter how painful, has the potential to offer wisdom. Tao realized that his mistake had taught him the importance of controlling his emotions and practicing compassion not just for others, but for himself. Forgiveness is not about excusing the mistake, but about extracting the lesson from it and using that lesson to grow. Let go of the past. Master Liang reminded Tao of a core Buddhist teaching. You cannot change the past, but you can change how you carry it. Clinging to guilt keeps us trapped in a past that no longer exists. Letting go is an act of freedom. Through meditation and mindfulness, Tao practiced releasing his attachment to the mistake, allowing it to dissolve like a cloud passing through the sky. Practice self-compassion. Buddha's teachings emphasize that we must show ourselves the same compassion we would show a friend. Tao realized that if a fellow monk had come to him with the same problem, he would have offered understanding and kindness. But to himself he offered only harsh criticism. To forgive yourself, you must offer yourself the same compassion and forgiveness you would extend to others. In time, Tao found peace. By following the wisdom of Master Liang and the teachings of Buddha, he learned to forgive himself. He understood that mistakes are part of the human experience and that by clinging to guilt, he was preventing himself from growing. Forgiving yourself is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It is a declaration that you will not be defined by your past, but by what you choose to do with your future. As Buddha once said, the only real failure in life is not to be true to the best one knows. By forgiving ourselves, we honor the best within us and open the door to future growth. If there's one thing to take away from Tao's story, it's this: the path to forgiveness is the path to freedom. Release your guilt, learn from your mistakes, and step forward into the light of compassion for yourself and for others. If you've been holding on to guilt or regret, now is the time to let it go. Reflect on Buddha's teachings, show yourself compassion, and allow yourself the gift of forgiveness. By doing so, you not only heal your heart, but also clear the path for a brighter, more peaceful future. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to our channel for more wisdom-filled stories to help guide you on your journey to inner peace.